Good evening. Kind of taking a look at your plan. I haven't spent any time looking at it, but the first thing I do with plans is check the defaults. Here's the first floor, and you've got this room here set to about 9 feet, 107 and 5/8. I was going to check a few rooms and see what you've set. That's 117, almost 10 feet. 107. Why is this so much more? Oh, I see. You set the floor lower. That's fine. Garages usually have a lower floor. Okay, we got 12 feet in here. So I wonder what these roofs are set at over this 12-foot ceiling. Yeah, that looks like about a 12-foot plate. I'm just going to check that with an elevation camera. See, I don't know anything about your plan or what your intentions were or anything. Just taking it one step at a time. Yeah, okay, the roofs over here are at a higher plate height because you set the ceiling height higher. That's correct. I know the main problem is on the second floor. So your defaults ought to be set to about 9 feet from what I've seen. Let me check the office. Yeah. Why don't we just fix that? We'll go here to Edit Default Settings, Floor, and we'll just set the finish at 108. 107 and 5/8 is kind of an odd figure. Now, doing this after the fact, the roofs aren't going to move. I'm just kind of rounding things off here. Yeah. This message here, I'm just going to say don't show me that again. I know that there's problems with the plan. Let's go to the second floor and just check a few of those rooms. About 8 feet, that's fairly common. Okay, looks like you intended the second floor to be 8 feet. So I'm going to go over and change that default to exactly 8 feet. And I use the finished ceiling because you can put different layers on the floor and on the ceiling, and that'll vary this that'll vary the ceiling height. Now, none of this has changed the roofs. I'm just checking this by the numbers. So I'm going to take a look at the overview. Yeah. See, roofs are building in here where you've got walls, and it shouldn't do that. That's the first thing I noticed. Now, I could manually fix that, but that's not really, manual roof editing is not something a new person is going to know very much about. So let me see if I can figure out what caused the program to think that it was okay to build roofs in there. I'm going to check the build roof dialog. See what the settings are. 412. I don't see any problems there. I'm going to check some of these dialog boxes in here. Okay, I need to see if their roof and ceiling is checked. I don't think that's what's causing it, but I thought I'd check. No, that's not it. I'm just going to rebuild roofs. And it'll rebuild based on whatever you had set. Let's just see what happens. Okay. Usually when this little message pops up, it draws a circle around where there's a problem. I don't see a circle though. This just means that you normally should draw walls in a clockwise fashion, and whenever you don't, you get this error message. So let's see what that did, if anything. I don't see, okay, that cleaned that up. I'm sorry, that's just a little bit too easy, isn't it? But the software doesn't commonly screw things up unless the settings are way off, and I'm not trying to be mean to you or anything, I'm just saying that's a fact. What is that? Those must be walls. Okay, I see what you did. You know, something new people don't understand is when you enclose a space with walls, it's a room. And that's the reason there's a room name there. Let me click in there. I'm just going to delete that label. It's kind of unsightly. Same thing. Those labels are coming from that room and that little tiny room there. And you can get around that by just taking one of the walls and make it, on the General tab, make it no room defined. I'm going to do that for both of these columns. The columns will still be there, but they won't be rooms thereafter. Using that command. Let's see what that did. Okay, it still looks ugly. What you can do is just click on the wall there, and then hit the tab key, and then just pull the wall polyline down. But you have to do it for each wall. There's the wall polyline for that wall. What I commonly do just for appearances is like this gap under the porch here. Let's open the dialog box for the porch and go to the Structure tab and just make it thicker. Now, if you're doing a materials list, you wouldn't want to do that because it's going to add concrete, but you're not going to build a porch that's just 4 inches thick. I realize it's, if you really, well, I guess the way to do it. A quick 3D fix on that is just to go over here to the General, Structure tab, and make this thicker. Make it 24 inches deep, and then that'll fill that in like that. Or you can draw a foundation underneath the porch with beams and so forth. And I'm just thinking about quick appearances. That straightens that up a little bit. But the main problem you were complaining about is fixed by just rebuilding the roofs. As long as the software is totally not misguided by the end user, it'll do a decent job. Now, some of these roof planes are kind of goofy. Like, I would probably just delete these two. They're kind of superfluous. I don't know why they're there. They're probably, the software, you can count on it. It's going to follow it whatever the apparent directives are in. Now, if you want to close in that space, let me hit Shift F6 here, so you can watch this. I'm going to work over in Plan View, and let's see. There's that area. Okay. I'm going to turn on the reference display, so I can see. See, I deleted these roof planes here. Let me see where the roof planes. Okay, that's stopped there. I think where this. I'm going to just manually manipulate this roof plane a little bit. There'll be a little bit of a lag. You'll see it, yeah, update over there on the other screen. I'll leave that break there. I think I'm going to need that. Excuse me. I'm going to use the brake tool and put a brake there. I need to get a new computer. This one's slowing down. Anyway, you can see that begin to fill in there. And that's a better roof design, generally. But roof planes chop off walls, and see, I need to line that up a little bit. Okay, that's a little cleaner. Now there's some things that need to be cleaned up there. I'm not very familiar with your model, but just rebuilding the roof seemed to fix it. Once I made sure that all the default settings weren't set in a crazy fashion. Now there's still problems with the model, but they're not big problems. Mainly just cosmetic ones, as far as I can just quickly see. Like this thing here, the software is just going to do that unless you tell it to not do things like that. Well, I don't want to get into a lot of manual roof editing, but I would probably get rid of that and just make that come straight across, and get rid of that little hip, and get rid of that, and get rid of that, and just fill it in. But that's just me. But that seems to be the major problem is solved by just rebuilding roofs. See, I just checked and verified that the dialog boxes and the default settings were not set in a crazy fashion. So I rebuild the roofs, and it seems to be fine. So I guess that's a lesson that needs to be learned by new guys. Is a lot of times, if you'll just persist and demand that there's a solution, or tinker around with things until you can fix them, then oftentimes that's all that's needed. I'm going to clean that line up a little bit. And maybe you don't want it like that, but I'm just saying, to me it looks a little cleaner. Probably want to put some steps there and so forth. And the terrain looks like it needs to be, yeah, the terrain's a little bit too high. See, this terrain's probably set, let's see, at 20 inches. Yeah, it looks to me a little more like it should be, let's say, put it at 6 inches. That's a little bit closer. Maybe we'll put it at 7 inches. Put in a positive figure, and it lowers the terrain. So that'd be a little, if you wanted to put a driveway object there, now you could, the driveway's up to the garage doors. Anyway, if this helps you in some way, that's great. Thanks for watching.